She met me at the door with a dish towel still in her hand and a smile that hit me right in the chest. The house smelled like roasted chicken and garlic. Music was low, the old lamp over the dining table was on, and the dog thumped his tail once and went back to sleep like everything in the world was right where it should be. She slipped her arms around my neck, kissed my cheek, and asked how the day went. I cracked a joke about meetings that should have been emails. She rolled her eyes, snorted, and tugged me to the table. Warm food, warm voice, warm eyes. I wasn't playing a role, I was home. We ate slow. She asked about a small job I'd been fighting with and told me about a podcast she liked. She teased me for stacking the plates wrong in the dishwasher after we finished. I pretended to be offended. She laughed, slid her palm across my back as she passed behind me, and said, "You're impossible." That night, I fell asleep with her hand resting on my chest, and the window cracked to the cool air. If you told me then I was a month away from changing my locks, I would have bet you dinner you were wrong. 2 weeks later, she came home late with a soft smile and a vague story about a friend's new apartment. It was the first odd note in a long song, so small I almost missed it. If I'd known where this was going, I'd have started carrying a flashlight sooner. The distance didn't come like a storm. It came like someone turning down a dimmer. She started keeping her phone face down on the counter, screen lighting up under her palm. When I came in from the garage, she'd close a tab on her laptop with a quick flick. The smell of dinner was there, but the warmth was not. A week after the friend's apartment, she started going silent during shows we watched together. She'd sit with me on the couch, but somehow not with me at all. "Everything okay?" I asked one Tuesday when she was stirring a pot, but not tasting it. She grabbed salt, shook too much, and didn't look up. That a yes or a placeholder? A shrug. "I'm just tired." I leaned against the counter. "From what?" "Existing, Nate. You ever try it?" She smirked. It was meant to be playful. It landed wrong. I set the oven mitt back in its place. "If you're burned out, say so. We can change pace." I said I'm fine. "All right." She turned the flame down and finally met my eyes. "Why are you looking at me like that?" "Like what?" "Like you're inspecting a crack in a wall." I smiled a little. "Because I'm a contractor and walls talk to me." "Cute." She slid past me, the old palm on back missing this time. "Don't start reading into nothing." I didn't. Not yet. But that night her side of the bed might as well have been across state lines. 2 days later, she canceled plans with our neighbors at the last minute. "I'm just not feeling social," she said, pulling on an oversized sweater and tucking her legs under her on the couch. I went without her. Our neighbor, Neil, who jokes too much when he's nervous, said, "Where's the boss?" "At home." "Trouble in paradise?" He tried to laugh it off. I took a sip of water and let that one die on the vine. When I got back, her phone was in the kitchen, face down again and humming. I tapped the counter beside it with 2 fingers. She looked over from the sink. "You can answer it," I said. "It's been buzzing for 5 minutes." "It's nobody," she said quickly. "Spam. Persistent telemarketer." She turned off the water. "You're acting weird." I leaned on the island. "You've been weird for 2 weeks. I'm just catching up." She wiped her hands on a towel. "Don't start. I'm exhausted." "You said that already." Her shoulders rose and fell. "Can we not do this tonight?" "Sure," I said, "but we will do it. Pick your night." The next morning, I was up before dawn. I made coffee and opened my calendar. I moved our Friday date night to tentative. I blocked off 2 evenings for the gym and 1 for dinner with my brother. I put a note on our shared board. Groceries now split week by week. Receipts clipped. I wasn't punishing her, just tightening the screws on the loose parts of our week. If someone is building side projects, they shouldn't be borrowing wood from my shed. That night, she came home after 9. "Sorry," she said, breezing in with a bag that was too small to be grocery and too nice to be nothing. Tara had a thing. I couldn't leave. "Tara." I poured her some water. "What thing?" "A family thing." She took the glass and avoided my eyes. "Okay. Can we not make me feel like a delinquent for having a life?" I took a breath. "Nobody's charging you. But you've been late 3 times this week, and I live here too. If you're out, I plan my time. If you're in, I plan us." She rolled her eyes. "You don't have to go alpha on the calendar." "I go alpha on respect," I said calmly. "Time is part of that." She raised a brow at my tone. "Is this your new rule?" "Simple request. If you're late, say how late. If you change plans, Don't announce it after. And put your stuff on the board. Oh my God. She laughed lightly, a sound with no humor. You're actually serious. I am, I said. And starting tonight, my week runs on what's written, not what's implied. Fine, she tossed. I'll put my sleep schedule too. Put what matters, I replied. If it matters. She went quiet. Later, when I reached for her in bed, she shifted away, not dramatically, just enough to tell me what mattered tonight wasn't me. On Thursday, I came home early with steaks. She was on a video call, paused mid-sentence when I walked in, then switched to a quick smile that looked like a sticker. Hey, I'll be done in a sec. Cool. She closed the laptop a minute later and pointed at the bag. If you're cooking, I'll shower. Good timing, I said. I wanted to talk first. She froze. About you being elsewhere. That again. I nodded. Yes, that again. She rubbed her thumb along her ring absent-mindedly. I told you I'm fine. And I told you that answer doesn't fly. She folded her arms. You're suffocating me. I set the bag down. No, I'm standing here, in our kitchen, asking my wife if she's okay. If that feels like a chokehold, then something's off. She exhaled sharply. You're pushing me into a corner. Corners usually happen when people paint around themselves. She flinched. That's not fair. What's not fair is you going cold and calling it just tired. She looked away. Fine. I've been bored. Happy to hear that. House, errands, another night on the couch. I needed some air. Okay, then say that. We can shake up weekends. Get you something of your own going. Volunteer. Part-time. Travel day trips. But shutting me out isn't air. It's a lock. I'm not shutting you out. You're on the other side of a door, talking through it. She thumped the counter with her palm. You're so dramatic. Pick Saturday, I said evenly. We'll plan something that isn't the couch. After a beat, she softened. I'm sorry. I've been off. It's not about you. Everything here is about both of us, I told her. That's how two works. She stepped closer and rested her chin briefly against my shoulder. You're right. Saturday. Let's get out. And I'll do better. It sounded like a truce. It felt like a commercial break. I still cooked the steaks. I still set up the patio and opened a bottle of something normal. She leaned into me like the woman I married and laughed at a joke I didn't know I had in me. For one evening, the dimmer slid back up. I let myself breathe. Friday, she was on her phone more than usual, tip-tapping while watching a show with me. When I glanced over, she tilted the screen without thinking. I noted it. I didn't comment. I adjusted instead. Saturday morning, while she was at a farmer's market run, I made 3 calls. First to a friend from high school who now worked quiet jobs for people who needed clarity. He gave me a number. Second, to that number. The voice on the other end was direct, price listed up front, timeline given without theatrics. Third, to my brother to move our Sunday dinner from our place to his. He asked if everything was all right. It will be, I said. The man with the quiet job met me Monday near the old train depot. He showed me a mock-up of a report, timestamps, locations, who with. No spy movie nonsense, just curated reality. You want me to focus on work hours or evenings? He asked. Both, I replied. A week. If there's nothing, I'll call you wasteful. If there's something, I'll call you early. You got it, he said, and didn't blink at my tone. At home, we had tacos at the kitchen island. She told me Tara had switched gyms. She asked about my day. I answered without adding commentary. She smiled in a way that looked tired. I asked if she wanted a walk after. She said she had laundry. We didn't live together that week as much as we stacked our lives side by side and tried not to jostle the piles. My initiative didn't stop at the report. I split our discretionary budget on a shared doc. I set my notifications so her messages came through only on sound, not banner. Not to ignore, just to prevent a Pavlov reflex. I pulled our Saturday get out of the house onto Sunday afternoon and made Saturday mine. I went to the gym, changed my oil, and met Neil for burgers. When he asked where she was, I said, with a friend, and left the rest on the plate. Midweek, she came home with takeout and that careful smile again. I'm making it up to you, she announced, pulling cartons from a bag. Your favorite. Nice, I said. What's the occasion? No occasion. I want to be nice to my husband. Is that okay, or do I need to fill out a form? It's okay, I replied and kissed her temple. It was warmer than I expected. Not sugar, just heat. I know I've been distant, she said, setting chopsticks in front of me. I'm correcting that. I see the effort, I told her. She exhaled, relieved. Good. Saturday, let's make it big. We'll drive out to the lake. Sunday's better, I answered, chewing. But yes, let's make it big. Her face flickered at me, changing the day, then smoothed. Sunday then. Fine. The report landed in my email the following Monday at 2:07 p.m. I was at the site, walking a customer through a porch addition. When my phone buzzed twice in my pocket, I didn't look until I was in my truck. Then I did. The subject line had my name, her name, dates. The PDF opened to a clean first page. The second page had timestamps. The third page had photos. I've seen a lot of photos in my life. Job sites, family gatherings, vacations. These were just pixels, and yet they shifted something in me like a house settling on its foundation after a long storm. Her at a restaurant at 6:30, head tilted, hand on the table touching a man's across from her. Him, solid build, tidy hair, smiling like he'd already won a prize. A later frame of them walking to a car, too close for just friends. The next night, similar. Same place, same time, different shirt. The final pages had names. His name was Mike. He had a wife, Emily. There was a last known address and a link to a public record. Nothing dramatic, just curated reality. I sat in the truck and watched the steering wheel for maybe a minute. Then I breathed, forward only, and made 2 calls. First to a lawyer to start the paperwork. I kept it minimal. No scorched earth, no theater. Second, to an address in a quiet neighborhood near the high school. A woman answered with a warm, steady voice. Hi, I said. Is this Emily? Yes. You don't know me? I told her. My name is Nate. This is going to sound crazy, but I think I have information you deserve about your husband. I'm not calling to cause a mess. I'm calling to put facts in your hands. A pause, then guarded. What facts? I kept it simple. He meets my wife at a restaurant near downtown, most evenings around 6. I have dates, times, and pictures. I can send them or we can meet. Your call. Who is this again? Nate, the husband of the woman in those pictures. Silence on the line. Then, send 1 photo. I sent 1. 30 seconds later, she spoke again, voice tighter. Where did you get that? Observed. Confirmed. I didn't add spice. She exhaled like someone trying not to wake a sleeping child. Okay, if this is true, I need to see it. Where can we talk? We met in a coffee shop that afternoon. Emily was early 30s, hair pulled back, eyes red like she'd been allergic to the last hour. She didn't look weak. She looked like someone holding a cardboard box in the rain. Why would you do this? She asked straight out. Because I'd want to know, I said. And because I'm not playing games in my own house. I slid the printed pages across. She scanned quickly, flipped, slowed, then put her palm on the stack like she was physically stopping it. My husband's name is Mike, she whispered. Your report says. Same man. She looked up, jaw hard. This restaurant, it's the one with the brick wall, right? Yes. They go there how often? Enough that your first guess was right. She swallowed and nodded. I didn't want to believe it. Her voice steadied. What are you going to do? In my marriage, I said plainly, quietly, with my keys still in my pocket. But before the paperwork grinds, I want to close a loop. You can join me or not. Your choice. Close a loop how? Catch them where they keep liking themselves. No fireworks. Just precision. We show up, say hello, and leave. Then I change locks and change my life. She stared at me for a long second, like she was measuring the man across from her. I don't know if I can face him. Then don't, I said. You can stand beside me or stand outside. Either way, the truth stands. She nodded slowly. If we do this, we don't tell them we know. We walk up when they're sitting there. Exactly. She tapped the table. When? Tomorrow, I said. 6. They're creatures of habit. She glanced at the window. He's going to have a reason to be late tomorrow, she murmured, like she was narrating a movie she knew the ending to. Fine. Text me the address. I sent it. She left with the pages in a manila folder, tucked under her arm like a file she would finally stop avoiding. That night, my wife was a different woman. She made pasta and put on music and came up behind me while I was opening mail, sliding her arms around my waist the way she used to. I've been thinking, she said softly. I want us back. I know I've been somewhere else. It wasn't fair. Go on, I replied, my voice so even I almost admired it. I'm going to be better. No more vague nights out. If I go anywhere, you'll know. You deserve that. I turned and studied her face. She looked sincere. She looked warm. She looked exactly like a person who had found a way to be two people and chosen which one to present tonight. All right, I said. I hear you. She smiled, relieved, and stood on her toes to kiss me. Thank you. You won't regret it. I don't do regret, I replied light. I do decisions. She nodded, mistaking that for a promise. She held me longer than usual before bed. When I closed my eyes, I didn't see pasta or lamplight. I saw a table at 6:30 and two hands touching on wood. 2 days later, the text arrived. Mom invited me over. She needs help with something. I'll try to be back early. I left dinner in the oven. I responded, tell her hi. Then I texted Emily. It's time. 5 o'clock. The place we said. I left work at 4:15 and parked near the corner. I took a seat with a clear view of their usual table and ordered water. At 5:05, Emily came in with a simple blouse and a face set to "Don't test me." She slid into the chair across from me. This feels like a mistake, she said, half under her breath. What if they don't come? What if this is just one big misunderstanding? They'll come, I told her. But let's say they don't. We eat, we talk, and we go home knowing we didn't hide from anything. 6:30 we reassess. She exhaled and picked up the menu, not reading it. Nobody meets in the same place every time, she said, still trying to talk herself out of it. People who want to feel special are lazy about the details, I answered. They confuse repetition with comfort. She blinked at that. You always talk like a manual? Only when I'm done playing a game, I didn't join. A server came, took our order. The restaurant was half full with after-work couples and a few families. At 5:45, a familiar man stepped in, scanned the room, and chose their usual table. Mike. He didn't look like a villain. He looked like a guy who liked routines and thought he was the one who built them. Emily's hands tightened. Okay, she whispered. So it's true. You wanted to believe he wouldn't show, I said. She nodded once. I did. You're not wrong for wanting the world to make sense, I told her. You're wrong if you think you can make it make sense by closing your eyes. She didn't answer. She put her hand on mine without looking down, barely touching, then pulled it back like she'd touched a hot plate. 6 o'clock came and ticked past. At 6:25, my phone vibrated. A text from my wife. I'm staying for dinner at Mom's. We haven't had time together in a while, and she wants to thank me for helping. I turned the screen so Emily could read it. She gave a small, bitter smile. I typed, You won't believe it, but I'm at your mom's for dinner too. Turn around. It took 10 seconds that felt like a full song. Across the room, my wife's phone fell from her hand onto the table. She turned in her chair toward the bar, eyes scanning. I was already standing. Emily stood with me. We crossed the space without hurry. People don't rush when they own the truth. Mike saw us first. His face went tight and then slack, like a man realizing he'd put the car in reverse instead of drive. My wife went pale once and then again. Hi, I said to both of them in a tone I use with clients when an invoice is straightforward. Cozy spot. My wife's mouth moved first. Nate, this isn't. Stop, I told her calm. Ask yourself if you'd buy what you're about to sell. She shut her eyes briefly. Emily didn't. She looked straight at Mike. Who is she to you? He tried something halfway between a laugh and a cough. Emily, I told you, this is a client. We were just. I cut him off with a small gesture toward the table. Hand-holding client? That's a premium package. People were watching now. Phones were not yet out, but attention was. A server hovered. The manager peeked from the host's stand. It wasn't loud, it was focused. My wife reached for my wrist. I didn't move. Nate, please, can we go outside and talk? She asked. Talk about what? I asked. The recipe? She started crying when she saw sarcasm wouldn't bend this. I'm sorry, she said, working to breathe. I messed up. I got lost. I can fix it. No, I replied. You can't fix what you broke and kept breaking while calling it being tired. Mike tried to stand taller. Hey man, you don't have to. I looked at him the way you look at a nail you're not going to use. Sit down. Finish your dinner with my former wife. Former? He repeated, pretending to laugh like we were joking. Effective tomorrow morning, I said. I started the process Monday. I move fast when respect is on the line. Emily's voice cut through, sharper now. Mike, we're done. Pack a bag tonight. Don't come home until I set a time. And don't touch my things. He blinked at her like she'd spoken a language he'd never heard. Emily, you heard me, she said, and for a second I saw the same clean line in her that I have in me. Decisions. The manager came over, apologizing softly, asking us to take it outside if it was going to continue. It wasn't. I'd already said enough. I turned to my wife. This is me leaving the table, I told her. You can keep the check. She reached again, desperate now. I love you. I shook my head once. You love the version of me that didn't check the bill. A couple at a nearby table gasped softly like this was a movie. I didn't feel like a star. I felt like a contractor closing a job. Outside, Emily stood, chest moving, face set. She looked at me and then past me and then at me again. I can't believe I just did that. You didn't do anything wrong, I said. You answered facts. I still feel. She couldn't find the word. She didn't need to. You're allowed to feel anything, I said. But you're not required to keep entertaining a lie. We drove to my place because, no surprise, she didn't want to go home to where his jacket could still be on the chair. I stopped at the hardware store that stays open late, grabbed a new lock set, and changed it in 10 minutes flat. She watched, half-dazed. You do that often? She asked, trying to tease it light. Only when a door needs to decide who it lets in. We sat at my kitchen table with 2 glasses of water. Emotions poured out for a while, then they didn't. When words ran out, we sat with the quiet, and it didn't hurt. Around 1, I made up the guest room and told her it was hers for as long as she wanted. She looked at me like I'd given her a lifeline and then tried to refuse it out of habit. It's okay to say yes, I told her. Nobody's keeping score. She nodded. Thank you. We talked until the sky went gray. Not about them. About anything else. She was funny when she wasn't guarding her perimeter. Smart, quick, no patience for fluff. At some point I said, I don't know why a man would go looking for something else when he had you. She smiled without finding it funny. I don't know why a woman would go looking for something else when she had you. We looked at each other too long. The room didn't wobble, it just warmed. Then we both looked away and let the moment pass, because not every spark means fire, and we had rules now, even if we hadn't said them out loud. I woke up near 5 in the evening to the smell of eggs and coffee. She'd found a pan, figured out my old machine, and set 2 plates like we were roommates who had been doing this for years. Late breakfast, she said, amused. Technically dinner. Works for me, I said. I glanced at my phone. Missed calls, too many, and messages stacked like bricks. Promises. Please. Explanations. I blocked the number, turned off the sound, and put the phone in a drawer. You're not going to answer? Emily asked, meaning both of them, all of it. I already did, I said. Last night. We ate. I told her I wasn't full. She smirked. That an appetite joke, or are you just angling for another meal? It's an invitation, I said. There's a place across town that actually deserves to be called the best. If you're not sick of restaurants. Is this a date? She said, playful for the first time since I'd met her. If you're not against it. She laughed. Anywhere but that brick wall place. Deal, I said. We don't repeat habits we didn't choose. We went. We ate. We kept the subject of them on a short leash, and then let it go entirely. We talked about her job at the clinic, about my crew, about stupid travel stories. If someone had filmed us, they'd think we were halfway into a relationship that had started months before. That night she came back to my place like it was the most natural thing in the world. It wasn't a scandal. It was 2 adults who had been betrayed by a script they didn't write, deciding to write their own. The week after that moved fast. Papers were signed. I boxed things methodically, left her the kitchen set she loved, and kept what I'd built with my hands. I canceled utilities in my name for the old place and moved forward like a man who had already chosen his route. She texted from different numbers a few times. I blocked them without ceremony. She emailed. I archived it. There was nothing left to discuss. All her "I can change" had expired when I saw where she'd been going to practice it. Emily stayed with me. Then half of her closet did, then all of it. She filed her own paperwork and told me, dryly, that she planned to walk away with what was hers and half of what he'd thought was his. I didn't comment. I don't gloat when someone else takes out their own trash. 3 weeks in, the house settled into a new rhythm. Emily wakes earlier than me, hums tunelessly while she scrambles eggs, and drops her keys in the same bowl every time like she was born to use my things correctly. On Fridays, we drive out of town with no map and come back with gas receipts and inside jokes. I upgraded my truck because I wanted to, not because I needed to prove something. Work picked up. I hired a new guy who actually likes being on time. The dog chose her. I let him. Every now and then, I hear about my former wife. A friend mentioned she moved into a small apartment and took up a hobby she can do alone. Her social media got quiet. She made one public post about growth and then stopped posting photos for a while. I didn't look. Someone told me when I didn't ask. When I think about her, it's not with rage. It's with the same emotion I have when I see a cracked beam. It should have held, but it didn't, and now we replace it. One afternoon months later, Emily and I were standing in a store looking at rings. She picked one up, put it down, and moved to another. I watched her, not in a movie way, but like a man who knows what he wants. Take your time, I said. She looked up. You already know, don't you? Yeah, I said. I knew the night you told Mike not to come home. She smiled the kind of smile that doesn't ask permission. Ask me. I didn't do a speech. I don't perform. I told her the truth. I want the rest of my life to be built with you. I want your voice in my kitchen and your keys in my bowl. Say yes. She laughed and cried at the same time, which is a trick I don't recommend unless you're sure. Yes, she said. We left the store without announcing anything to anyone. We stopped by a burger stand and ate in the truck with the windows down. The dog was asleep at home. The house was clean, the locks were new, and the table was ours. If you're looking for the part where I go back and have one last conversation with my former wife, you're going to be disappointed. There wasn't one. The last words I gave her were in that restaurant. You loved the version of me that didn't check the bill. That line still stands. I keep it in my pocket like a tool. It reminds me what I accept and what I don't. People ask how I stayed so calm. It's not calm. It's clarity. You draw a line, you enforce it, and you leave the mess to whoever made it. Yes, I hired someone to bring me facts. Yes, I set rules before I had proof. That's not pettiness. That's maintenance. If you see the crack early and brace the wall, you save the house. Sometimes, though, the crack tells you the house needs to come down. When it does, don't stand there asking the drywall to apologize. My ending wasn't fireworks. It was clean. She lost what she wanted most, comfort without accountability. I took back what mattered, my time, my name, my peace. And now when I come home from work, the lamp is on, the dog thumps his tail, and Emily meets me at the door with a smile that hits me right in the chest. I'm not blind anymore. I'm not suspicious. I'm simply a man who knows that respect is the first thing through the door and the last thing to leave. The night we toasted our engagement at our favorite booth, the server asked if we were celebrating something special. Emily looked at me, eyes steady, and said, yes, good choices. I raised my glass. I didn't need to say anything clever. I'd already said the only line that ever mattered, to the only person who needed to hear it. And just like that, the loop closed. Not with a bang, with a decision.